Hello. Obviously I've been off a little while. Occasionally though, in the last week to 10 days, although I've been taking a break, I haven't managed to resist the lure of popping in and out occasionally of the good old YouTube, true crime, drama, etc., etc. It seems to be yet again accelerating at a massive speed of all sorts of things that actually are completely mind-blowing and mind-boggling. As is often said, as humans, there is a thought that we may be wired to love true crime. For instance, watching crime television and murder mysteries is kind of like witnessing a car crash. It's hard to look at, but it's hard to look away. There's a level of disgust that we experience while watching or listening to these stories of violence and terror, and yet we keep coming back for more. Series or stories about violent murders, unsolved mysteries, serial killer biographies proliferate in every entertainment medium. For instance, the popularity of the series To Catch a Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, and countless others speak to the hunger that viewers have for the true crime genre. Every streaming platform possible has abundant tales of crime. But why are these dark, twisted stories so popular with audiences across the globe? And it seems that the answer lies in the way these stories engage their audiences, both mentally and physically. One of which is that we love a good adrenaline rush. Crime shows, or even real crime sadly, leaves us with a hearty adrenaline rush in the comfort of our own home. Adrenaline is something that we seek out on a daily basis, whether it be through playing a sport, climbing a mountain, or seeking out a crime thriller. Like a roller coaster, true crime series, or fact, let us feel a simulated fear that we know poses no real threat to ourselves, giving us a, quote, good stress known as eustress. The effects of an adrenaline rush push us into a state of biological overdrive which can feel exciting in small doses. For instance, listening to serial killer podcasts or watching agents chase down a wanted criminal in a television series causes us to feel as though we are part of the process, and the accompanying adrenaline rush makes us enjoy the nerve-wracking experience whilst knowing, as I say, that we're safe from harm. Our mind and imagination are engaged. Crime is like working a puzzle that also gives you a rush of excitement every time you put the last piece in. For the sake of curiosity, these series or crimes are often presented in a play-by-play mystery format almost, where the viewer is solving the case alongside the detectives, be it real or on a true crime drama. These shows and podcasts stimulate us intellectually and leave us with a sense of satisfaction afterwards, as if we play in a role in the bringing of justice. I guess my main reasoning for opening like that is because, as like many, hundreds and now possibly thousands, is not leaving a sweet taste in our mouth like hundreds and thousands, but we are seeing, listening, being deluged with crimes, tragedies flooding in. It's like on YouTube there isn't enough space to absorb each new one each day. And yet our empathy, if we have it, is to try to help to find out how we can help. If we can help, can we contribute? Can we do something, anything? Because wherever we are in the globe, if we have empathy and compassion for our children or for other adults, vulnerable people, we want to help because we are people who have brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, parents, grandparents, friends, and many of us may have lost someone to a murder or to someone who is missing, and we are still waiting to find out where they might be, if they are still alive, and what has happened. Watching in the last, I suppose, 48 hours as much as I can, I haven't obviously been glued to every single thing because that's not how I am. Albeit, as I say, I do like to try and go around, catch information, go away, think about it, look into it if I can. Sometimes it's not possible, bearing in mind some countries have different laws for searching. But we try, some of us, to find information that might help, genuinely help, offer a clue, a hope to someone who is in distress because they've perhaps lost somebody, they're missing somebody, or their child has been murdered or abused. But the one thing I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years, albeit I've watched a lot longer on this here YouTube, is, like many, obviously, my fascination, if you like, my interest is in the human psychology, trying to understand the facets of the human brain, the mind, how we are all built the same, and yet everyone thinks in an individual, unique way. There are many people on here who have long experience, be it in law enforcement, be it in research in human psychology or whatever. And the one thing that is deeply saddening and that just continues is that, and I guess we have to be realistic about it when all is said and done, is we all have different reasons why we have a channel or we come to YouTube, especially in the true crime area. Sadly, true crime communities, in many ways, in many countries, have merged into what we call now crama. So drama, the mixing of the two, the mixing of the real life. Because when you actually sit down and think about it carefully, because our emotions are engaged with that particular crime or mystery, we all take in the information given, words said, in a very different way, and we process it in a very different way. I'm not trying to be censorious or condescending when I talk like this. I'm really just thinking out loud, if you like, about why we are who we are within the true crime communities or the crime drama lot. Because ultimately, whatever we do, eventually, true crime and the drama factor, as I've said, seem to merge at some point. And they may diverge again, but the question remains, for me at least, and I think for many. And why I ask questions in comments like many, or I put a theory or a thought like many, is why do some people react the way they do? The other thing is, for me, the most important thing, and it's a bit like banging your head against a brick wall on a continuous basis, is that people have to understand that the majority of people who really want to try and understand and help true crime issues is that we may be visiting a channel, we may subscribe to a channel, we may take away positives from that channel, or indeed for some negatives from that channel. But the one thing everyone needs to understand and remember is that just because one may agree or disagree, as long as one isn't insulting, doxing, cyber-stalking or harassing, is that we need to take away that information. It doesn't necessarily mean that we agree, okay? It just means we're there, we're listening, we're engaging. And for many, we go away, perhaps make notes, if you're like me, of which I do many and always have done, and try to work out, for one's own sake, if for no one else's, what may or may not have happened in, say, that particular crime, mystery or whatever. But unfortunately, the shrieking of banshees, as it seems, after a while, screaming in your ear, actually it reminds me of the screaming seagulls over the sea hunting for food sometimes, searching for that nugget of something, is that we're kind of all of us losing the reality of that particular crime or mystery. It's easy to do, I know. Get me wrong, I understand that. But it's easy to do. But the one thing we need to remember is that at the end of the day, these tragedies are not a game. They are the lifelong tragedies and sadnesses of victims and their families long after the feeding frenzy is over. They will live with whatever is left or found, discovered, etc., for the rest of their lives. Some will try to come to terms as best they can. Some will never do that. Some will try to carry on for the sake of their families. Some will not manage that, sadly. And that's not criticising them. It's just about humanity. But it seems when somebody who perhaps appears to have a lot of experience, or actually does have a lot of experience, I'll rephrase, in law enforcement, has tried, it seems, to present, to help within crime, homicide, missing children, and yet somehow something goes awry for whatever reason, because actually at the end of the day one still has no proof. Well, I personally don't have it in my hands, like many, so I don't like to make a judgment call on it. But what really saddens one is the delight, if you like, of some, and we know that'll always be the case, when that person doesn't quite meet the expectations. of others. I think when you come on YouTube initially, there is absolutely no way you will ever understand that very first few months you're on there and engaging the reality of the Wild West mentality on here. And that is why we need to watch out, look after each other against online abuse, harassment, cyberstalking, and we need to try somehow to gather facts and research. Yes, drama sells, we all know that. But it's not working, is it? What good is it doing standing outside some family's house, shrieking? Yes, okay, I understand. As parents, we get angry. We get frightened. But we don't know all the facts. Many of us. It's not a drama, folks. It's not. It's people's lives. Every country has a different view, I think, on their police enforcement. And some countries have less faith than others. But we need to try to establish the facts. If someone makes a mistake, we need to find out what that mistake was. Ask them why. Help everyone understand why. But let's be realistic, at the end of the day, there'll always be a portion of society that enjoys negativity. That's humanity. That's how it's always been through history. So, for whatever it's worth, I just wanted to say a few words tonight. Because, as I say, I feel like one is banging one's head against a wall. But we need to just stop for a minute and breathe and join together and try to help those in distress, missing, the unsolved murders, etc. That's what we need to do. That's it. End of. Thank you. Carrie Pink. I will lead you with this conclusion of thought by Matisyahu. I think there is a tendency for people to get rigid and caught up in their beliefs of what is right and wrong, and they lose sight of humanity. Being human has to come first, before right or wrong. Take care. Stay safe.